Hello and welcome back, everybody. You're listening to a new episode in the series of The Amazing Autistic Woman. I'm Tanya, your host, and I'm really excited to have you here. So, in this series, I interview women on the autism spectrum, showing our everyday life struggles, our problems, and our limitations. They are mostly invisible to the outside, but they are real and they are there still, and we cope with them every day. If you want to help me make more of these interviews, I created a GoFundMe campaign, and the link is below. Your contribution will be very appreciated. Thank you. So, I love unique stories, and every one of us has them, also you. And also my guest today, Sinead, she has a unique story. Hi, Sinead.
Hi, Tanya. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's my pleasure. So Sinead lives in the UK. She works online. She's an IT trainer for a law firm. Thank you for coming, Sinead.
No problem. I'm grateful to be here and be able to tell my story.
Cool. So you told me that since you work fully remote, mm, your life has changed. It's for the better, and things are much easier for you. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Absolutely. Yeah. I first discovered my autism when I was 29. I'm 32 now. And I'd gone through my whole adult life of not being able to stay consistently in work. I'd always had a job, even since I was a teenager, but I'd always had long periods of sick leave where I was burnt out and I was depressed or I was anxious, and I'd never really known why. And I'd always struggled with being physically in a workplace environment as well. And since discovering my autism, I discovered it was a lot of the sensory issues and the sensory overload from being in a working environment. So being able to be in my own home and do my job has meant that I'm able to stay consistently a lot more well in general, mentally and physically, and also be in work more consistently doing something that I love.
Mm-hmm. Good. Very nice. And can you let us know a bit about the limitations or problems you face every day that come from autism?
Absolutely. I mean, as I'm sat here, I can hear lots and lots of things in my environment buzzing at me that everyday neurotypical people can't hear. Um, Sensory issues are very much up there in terms of what I struggle with different sounds and smells, lighting and things like that, as well as food textures and physical textures on my skin. Have to snip the tags out of all of my clothes and things like that, and have a rotation of clothes that are comfortable to wear. Alongside that comes with things like thinking about things in a very black and white way. So having a little bit of inflexibility of thinking about things sometimes, which I've found DBT therapy has really helped with, and helped me to sort of start thinking a little bit outside of my autistic box. Um, in general, I think it also causes issues with over empathy for me as well. I do struggle a lot with absorbing other people's emotions, and I do sometimes struggle to then work out what my own emotions are. So friends will come to me because I am actually very good at listening, and I'm good at problem solving. But then I don't know how I feel after the interaction because I've just absorbed everything they were feeling about it.
I noticed this also. So
Yeah,
at some point, we don't understand anymore what is me and what is the other person.
absolutely.
Yeah. Mm. You mentioned DBT before. Can you please explain what that is?
Yeah, dialectal behavioural therapy. So it's similar to cognitive behavioural therapy, but it seems to work slightly better with neurodivergent minds, and it's very good at framing things in a way that our brains can understand. I've done a little bit with an actual therapist, but I've actually been using Sunny Jane Wise's DBT for neurodivergent minds workbook. So you work through it on your own, and that's really helped me sort of work through my emotions and work out recognizing emotions, as that's something I've really struggled with as an autistic person, is actually identifying what I'm feeling. Even when I can figure out I'm experiencing an emotion, I do struggle to actually name it and identify it and deal with it.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a very important topic there.
Mm.
Recognize and connect, feel ourselves. I think, especially for me, I had the same problems.
That was one of the things that DBT kind of highlighted to me, was there's a difference between being able to name an emotion that you're experiencing and actually feel it. Because I didn't realize that just thinking I am sad isn't actually feeling sad. I didn't realize you're supposed to feel things inside your body. That is feeling an emotion, not just thinking about it.
Uh-huh. I'd love to know the name of the book you or the person.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll give you some more information about it because it's really useful.
Yeah, we will link it also below the video. It's
Yeah.
very useful, yeah. Mm, what kind of sensory issues do you experience?
Yeah, it's a variety of things. Mine mainly center around I sensory seek in some ways. So I sensory seek in terms of movement and motion. So I really like roller coasters and things like that. I rock around a lot, but I also avoid lots of sensory inputs as well. So I'm very, very sort of overly sensitive to certain food textures, and I have a very kind of tight list of things that I'm comfortable eating. Um, Definitely sensations on the skin as well. So I have to be really particular about the materials that my clothes are made out of, making sure that I take labels out of things, because yeah, I'm really, really prone to being irritated by things being up against me. I'm also very sensitive to being touched as well. So I found it very difficult when people want to come up and give you a hug, because although I'm a very affectionate person and I have no issues generally with hugging people, sometimes it's one of those days when my senses feel like they're a little bit heightened, and that can be quite difficult. We've got a kitten, and obviously she doesn't understand when I'm a bit touched out. So yeah, it's been good in a way having a pet, because it's helped me kind of have micro doses of touch when I'm not feeling like I need it, which I think is helping me kind of chip away at that issue in a way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it gives some kind of hint into what strategies you use or tools that you
Mm.
have come up yourself to cope with the problems.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, sensory issues, I've found a mixture of indulging in things that I enjoy in a sensory way, but also having a sensory deprivation environment works really well. So when I'm in the mood that I need to sensory seek, I might spin around on my chair for a while because I need that kind of vestibular input. But when I'm feeling really overwhelmed, just coming into my bedroom with a weighted blanket on top of me, no noise, no light, and just maybe listening to an audiobook that I find relaxing, and just being on my own is how I can reset myself. And I've actually found that listening to my body a bit more in terms of what it needs in a sensory way has helped me engage a bit more in things that I do enjoy, but I need to have a bit of downtime after them. I used to always say that I didn't like socializing. I found actually that's not really true. I do like socializing, but I do need to acknowledge the impact that it has on me and take time out after I've done it to reset myself. Otherwise, I'm liable to have a meltdown or a shutdown afterwards.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you seek quiet,
Mm.
heavy blankets, work, withdrawing, yeah, dosing,
Mm.
microdosing, the social,
Absolutely.
yeah. What else did you come up with?
Well, getting our kitten actually was one of the things that we thought would help me, because I've always struggled with because I have ADHD and autism, they kind of butt against each other in terms of how my brain works. So, although my autistic side of my brain needs routine, my ADHD side of my brain very much doesn't like me having routine. So, Our kitten Pango was our way of kind of having something that was in our home environment where I am most of the time, that could enable me to have touch points of a routine throughout the day. You know, she needs feeding at a certain time. That means I'm in the kitchen. That means I should probably be feeding myself as well. Because I do find that looking after my everyday needs and interoception of what I need is really hard. I quite often misinterpret hunger as feeling anxious and don't remember that I've not eaten, and that's why I'm feeling that way. So she's been really helpful in terms of helping me remember that I need to look after my body as well, and look after myself generally.
Yeah.
Working from home as well is probably my biggest one, in fairness. That's the biggest adjustment I've made to my life that's made a huge difference to how I cope daily, is having a job where I'm fully remote. I do have the option of traveling quite a few hundred miles every so often to see my colleagues, but they don't put any pressure on that, and they know that I will come and see them if I want to. And yeah, having a manager in that role as well, where she's learned so much through me, and she is very, very humble with it and very understanding about my autism and my ADHD. And she's a real inspiration to me, to be honest, because I've never had a manager like that before, and she's really, really supported me.
Mm-hmm. In what ways does she support you?
She has always made me feel like I can speak honestly to her. So if I am feeling overwhelmed, if she's given me too much information, if I'm having a bad day, I've never felt like I need to make an excuse. I can tell her honestly what's going on. If she's given me too much information in one go, I can just tell her, can we just wheel it back? It's too much information right now. I need to kind of go back a few steps. And that's made a huge difference to me, because I've always felt previously in jobs I've had to come up with some sort of an elaborate excuse as to why I'm not responding in the way somebody else expects me to. She also accepts that, you know, I don't want to necessarily always travel long distances to come to the office, even though it's an option. And she's never ever put on any pressure on me in that respect as well. An example of which was, so it's probably about 300 miles for me to get to where the rest of my colleagues work. And her and my senior manager have been trying to think of a way to get me to the office, because they thought it would be good for me, in quotations. And they started coming up with elaborate plans, and it involved being away from home for about 4 days in the end of it. And I just sat down with her and I just said, but nobody actually asked me what I wanted and what I thought was good for me. And she was like, yeah, you're right, we didn't, and I'm really sorry. And is this something you want? And I'm like, no, not really. This, and she accepted that, and was gracious about it. And it was really, it made a real impact on me.
Mm. Yeah, you're in a lucky position, I could say.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, the remote work is going to become more and more widespread, I think.
Mm. I hope so. I hope so, because it makes a difference for lots of people for lots of different reasons, lots of different disabilities. People can feel involved in the workplace, and feel like they're making a difference, whereas they wouldn't be able to before. So I hope so.
Mm. Mm. Good. Yeah. Is there anything you would like to add today?
I don't think so, no.
Mhm. Okay. Good. I really thank you for your time. Thank you for explaining us what your life is about, what your day-to-day routines look like, and how you're coping.
Thank you ever so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
I thank you. Okay. Yeah.
I forgot, I didn't realize that was my take home bit. Sorry.
Oh, no problem. Uh, we actually do script these interviews, so we have to do that because we are
Yeah,
autistic. So sometimes
yeah.
we
I
forget
know.
to sign.
No, that's fine. Yeah, cool. I mean, can I do that bit and you cut it in where it should be, or?
Just say,
Yeah, okay, cool. I think the take home that I would want to hear many years ago when I didn't know that I was autistic is, whether you're autistic or not, never ever shave parts off you to fit into a hole that you're never going to fit into. Always maintain who you are, and build a world around yourself that adapts to you. That's a universal message. It doesn't just apply to autism. Nobody should ever have to feel like they're removing parts of themselves to fit into what society says they should be or how they should be. And I wish somebody had told me that sooner. But I'm learning to stick those bits back on myself now, and just be myself. So
Mhm. Yeah, you're very right, Sinead. Yeah, thank you for your
no
time
worries.
and
Thank you.
have a good evening.
Yeah, brilliant.
Say bye to the UK, to you and your kitten. Bye bye.
Thanks. Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.